Well, I want to talk today in this video about the wisdom of the body, why it's important that we learn to bring awareness to the body, learn the language of the body, and what information that gives us that we can't get when we just live in our mind. So a lot of Western psychology really sticks to the mind, sticks to trying to figure things out, try to logically, rationally understand things. And the problem with that is we are not rational beings for the most part. And especially when we've experienced trauma, when there is a lot of stress, all of those experiences, emotions, holding patterns live in our body. So if we try to talk our way out, think our way out of emotions, often what we're doing is distancing ourselves from our emotions, and they actually get more stuck in the body, in the system. They can turn into chronic health conditions, to chronic pain, to immune disorders, when we don't have the tools and resources to process those emotions on a body-based level. And that doesn't necessarily mean working with a therapist. That can be helpful, especially if there is a lot there to unpack, and especially if you have avoided unpacking it for a long time. And so as a somatic therapist, I often work with people who have tried talk therapy. It does not get them anywhere. And sometimes it can feel like it even digs them deeper into their issues. Because what it does is it builds awareness on a cognitive level of maybe what happened and why you operate in a particular way. But it doesn't actually change why you're operating in that way, which is often deeply rooted in emotions, emotional wounds. And if we don't go to those wounds, if we don't feel and touch those wounds, they're still there. We're now aware that we have this thing and we're aware of how we operate. We're not able to change it. And sometimes that can even make us feel worse because now we have awareness, we don't have the tools to change it, and now we feel guilty and ashamed about how we operate in the world. Or we just justify it away, and then we lose any sense of agency in how our life unfolds and how we are in the world. So our body is this storehouse of information. It stores our emotional memories. Our body even stores emotional patterns and how we hold our body. Our body shows how we are feeling inside. I've done this exercise with many people of just having their bodies respond to a certain emotion. And everyone has similar experiences. When we're feeling sad, the tendency is to round, deflate. If we're feeling excited, we get bigger, we expand. So our body is doing all of this, even if we're not aware of it. And that can, over time, create patterns in our body that then also hold us deeper into these patterns and how we're feeling and how we think about the world, even down to just the mode of our nervous system. So all of these things are deeply related and interconnected, and we can't change them just with our thoughts. So we use our body to build awareness of these different patterns. And oftentimes what I see is when we slow down, we tune into the body, there's a shift that happens. So instead of me trying to analyze and figure this out and understand it, and I just let myself be with it and feel it, then it doesn't have as big of weight anymore. So the body gives us the capacity to process and feel and be with if we are willing to do that, if we have the right support to do that. And sometimes we need someone else there to help support us in that, or to be in a group of people doing that. But over time, we learn to be with our body in a way that all of the experiences are okay. And we're not doing this so we just feel intense sadness and pain and the heavy emotions all the time. We're doing it because as we deepen in that awareness of these things that maybe are hard in our system, we also tune into joy, to pleasure, to really feeling all of the positive parts of the human experience as well. And we're able to tap in to this innate wisdom that we have within our body. And that can feel very ethereal if you're not used to kind of thinking that way, or it just can feel foreign. Like, I don't even know what that experience would be like to a lot of people. But our body is able to access information, our mind is not. We are sensory beings. We are taking in information from our senses all the time. And there's actually much more information going from our body to our brain all the time than the other way around. So our body is sensing and perceiving things that maybe are outside of our conscious awareness. And when we're able to really tune into the body, we can access that information a little more easily, quicker. We trust that information more. And all of that helps us to be more discerning with environments we put ourselves in, people we surround ourselves with. So it's all of these things that we're just tuning in to this information that's already there. But we've been so conditioned to disregard it, to objectify our body, to really make it something that we need to control, to transcend. And that keeps us so stuck and disconnected from ourselves and from each other. And I would also say it keeps us stuck in these larger, harmful cultural paradigms, cultural ways of being that we don't want to replicate, but we still do. We really deeply believe in gender equality, but at the same time you fulfill these traditional gender roles that help to uphold that system. Or you believe in racial justice, but at the same time you are playing out these dynamics that happen within kind of how power is distributed, or how much space people take up. So our body, I think, is the way that gives us all the information to see when those things are happening. Even if maybe we don't want to see them. But in order to really live into our values, we need to connect to that wisdom. And that goes for our own lives, that goes for larger types of change we want to see in the world, is that we have to be with what is, and our body is the perfect place to practice that. If I am heartbroken, which I often am heartbroken, about seeing what's happening in the world, if I can't sit with heartbreak in my own body, I am not going to be able to be present and sit with heartbreak in the world. And if I can't sit with anger, if I can't sit with sadness, if I can't sit with these things within myself, I can't be present in the world and sit with those things in other people. And then I replicate. I feel ashamed of something. Someone tells me something, I dismiss them and I push them away. And so I think the body is more than just, I'm going to do these somatic practices and do the nervous system. The body is a storehouse of innate intelligence that we all have the capacity to tune into and to realize if we prioritize the time and energy to tune in.